A very good morning. Welcome to the Foro Italico in Rome. Day one of the main draw WTA action at the Internazionale BNL d'Italia, one of the WTA's premier 5 events and the only such tournament to be held on clay. 3 matches scheduled for court 2, but as you can see, it's a rather gloomy and overcast morning in the Italian capital, so we can but hope that the rain stays away for the best part of today. Katerina Siniakova of the Czech Republic in your picture, taking on the number 15 seed from China, Wang, in our opener. And they meet for the very first time today. This, of course, a very significant staging post of the European clay court season, coming as it does in the immediate aftermath of last week's Madrid Open, where Kiki Bertens became only the second multiple winner on this season's WTA Tour. Wang, seeded 15 this week, and all smiles as she makes her way out onto the court. Kelly Thompson, the chair umpire from Great Britain, in charge of this one. And a very lengthy dialogue ongoing between Thompson and Siniakova. Maybe just harbouring 1 or 2 concerns about the fact there doesn't seem to be much of a dividing line between these 2 courts that are adjacent to each other. But anyway, we'll see how things pan out. And just to give you some indication as far as the draw is concerned, this match features in the second quarter of the draw. The winner will face either Irina Camelia Begu, who came through qualifying, or Daria Kazatkina. This is the segment of the draw that features Simona Halep, the number 3 seed, and also Sloane Stephens, the number 7. Well, let's take a look at the 2 players in a bit more detail. Starting off with Siniakova, the 23-year-old from the Czech Republic. World number 45 now, dropping just 1 place in the latest rankings that were issued earlier this morning. Down from her career high of 31, which she achieved in October of last year. It really was a productive end of 2018 for her, with those back-to-back quarterfinals at Wuhan and Beijing, and a recent quarterfinalist too in Prague for a second successive year. But 2 wins and 3 defeats on clay so far in 2019 for the 23-year-old from Czech Republic. As for Wang, seeded 15 here this week, the world number 17, down 1 place in the latest rankings issued earlier today. And that was her career high world ranking of number 16, which she first achieved on the 1st of April. 27 years old, from Tianjin in China, and a player who a little under a year ago was the world number 91, but she has catapulted herself up the rankings over the last 12 months. Thanks partially to a very productive second half of 2018, and thanks also to her success this year in posting career best performances at the Australian Open, where she made the 3rd round, and also in Miami, where she was a quarter-finalist, and once again she was a 4th round participant at Indian Wells for a second successive year running. We are assured that if we do get any rain today, it will stay away until the second half of the afternoon, so that's one reassuring piece of news. But it is very grey, it's very overcast in the Italian capital. Yesterday's play in qualifying was certainly affected by rain. There was a lengthy delay of around about 2 3/4 hours in the early part of the afternoon, but the qualifiers were completed on time. And just to reiterate what was said there, in case you didn't quite make it out, Wang serving, electing to receive, I should say, having won the spin. Fair to say she hasn't really been able to carry the momentum that she had towards the, or certainly that she produced in the second half of last year into 2019. That was always going to be a difficult task for her, and the bulk of her good work came on the Asian hard courts in July, August and September. But like I say, she has had a couple of highs this year. A run to the last 8 in Miami, and a run to the recent, or a run to the quarterfinals of the recent clay court event in Prague as well, although she was a first round casualty in Stuttgart and Madrid. All set up very nicely, this one. I think Wang will certainly be considered a favourite, given her world ranking. 28 places separating these two, but Siniakova is a very competitive player and a very talented player as well. And I think she may well consider herself to have the slightly greater clay court pedigree, although neither has really produced that here in the past, it's safe to say. Siniakova's previous best was a second round appearance a couple of years ago, and that is exactly the same that can be said for her opponent as well. Wang also making round 2 in 2017, but nothing beyond that so far in her career. Maybe that will all change for one of these two players this year. So Siniakova it will be to start things off on court 2. Wang certainly gifted her first 2 points of the match. A terrific point. Both players demonstrating really intense qualities on the defensive side of their game. But it was Wang who had the final say, and it was Wang who executed that forehand winner on the volley, very confidently taken as well by the number 15 seed. But a really absorbing rally to get things started in this opening game. But 3 break points for Wang. And the backhand winner down the line wraps things up very swiftly indeed. Well, she was gifted the first 2 points, but there's no doubt about it, she really carved out the second 2 points, all of her own making, with 2 fairly eye-catching winners. So a break to love for Wang. Now let's see if she can back it up. It's a fairly confined space in this part of the Foro Italico. ATP action going on next door, lots of background noise as well, lots of movement around the courts, lots of distractions for the players to contend with today. Well, I have to say that was all about a misjudgment in timing by Siniakova. And that is wide of the mark. And it's a consolidation of the early break by Qiang. Siniakova seemed to be dealing fairly effectively with the Wang serve. But the 27-year-old from Tianjin seemed to get herself into position very quickly where she was able to dictate the rallies on serve in the main. And you could just see there she was really looking to inject some pace on that backhand as well. She does have this ultra-aggressive game plan, which she sometimes really brings to the fore. Yeah, this time she got the drop shot right, and it dragged her opponent towards the net, and it just opened up the court for Siniakova to exploit. This might just settle her down. Just needs to get into the habit of knitting together a couple of potent winners, and it might just settle her down. Well, Siniakova is off the mark. And it was a fairly comfortable service game for her in the end. New rankings released earlier today. Both players dropping down one place to 17 for Wang and 45 for Siniakova. It is a chilly day in Rome. Kelly Thompson has already decided she needs an extra layer. Just the suggestion of blue sky on the horizon as well. And Wang currently heading a list of 11 Chinese players in the top 200 in the rankings. 29 places ahead of her compatriot Sai Zhang. With the early break here, serving at 2-1. Well, that was a shame for Siniakova because she was on the verge of turning defence into attack there. But Wang does seem to be striking her ground strokes very cleanly, very crisply indeed. And that is the first ace of the match. Swiftly followed by the first double fault of the match. Oh, she almost made that one. Siniakova just gave her enough encouragement. And I think she's breathing a small sigh of relief after winning that point. 40-love becomes 40-30. I think Wang will be breathing a sigh of relief if she comes through this service game. It's looking a little bit edgy for her all of a sudden. But again, an excellent use of the drop shot by Siniakova. That's a shame, because she just looked to be moving in the right direction as she tried to claw her way back into that one, but it's another hold of serve for the number 15 seed. A couple of points dropped in the end on serve. Cross-court forehand again, proving a very effective weapon for Wang. Keeping her opponent just behind the baseline. Yeah, great depth on the return and on the follow-up by Wang as well. And Siniakova just unable to deal with the depth that Wang is employing here, and she has break points in hand as well. And once again, she is successful in converting them, as she was in the opening game. And there is significant daylight between the two of them now in this opening set. Wang leading by 4 games to 1. And you have to say, looking comfortable and clearly having settled the better of the two. Bad omen for Siniakova is that she has yet to beat a top 20 player this season. 5 attempts, 5 defeats, including a first-round defeat by Kiki Bertens in Madrid, the eventual champion in Madrid last week. Bertens, the latest and only the second multiple winner on the tour this year. And the other bad omen as well for Siniakova is that she has only had 3 wins over top 20 players on clay, and they all came during her run to the title at Båstad in 2017. And so far, it looks as though that particular record is going to be extended here, because she's 2 breaks down already against the number 15 seed. Yeah, just a bit of movement in these stands. There's a lot of coming and going. Well, that's a very clear-cut unforced error by Wang. She had a lot of open court to work with on the forehand side, but she went to the Siniakova backhand once again. And that's an exquisite return, one of the best she's played all day on the backhand. Yeah, excellent drop shot again by Siniakova. And even though her opponent made up the ground, it was always a difficult one to keep under control. And Siniakova, for the first time today, has break points of her own, 2 of them to play with as well. Well, this time the drop shot once again successful, but this time Wang is able to apply the measured touch that she needed. She does move around the court very well, actually, the Chinese player. And that was a lovely touch just to guide it beyond the outstretched backhand of Siniakova. Still break point. Well, she got there in the end. She may not have been as ruthless as perhaps she would have liked to have been with the initial attempt. Maybe just a little bit conservative, but kept herself in the point and was able to execute the winner in the end. And there was no control over the forehand there as well. The topspin was not applied sufficiently there, and it was way beyond the baseline. And Wang is on the verge of turning this one around. That's a really good response by the number 15 seed. Just another measure of how much control she has over this one. Even at 15-40 down, she never really seemed to panic there. She just stuck to her task. Had a lot of conviction in her shot making. Saves 2 break points and holds for a 5-1 lead. And Siniakova just looking a little bit despondent as she serves at 1-5. Great depth again by Wang. Really targeting that Siniakova backhand on occasion with that depth and that penetration, and it's difficult to live with for Siniakova. That's not got the legs. As soon as it left the racket, it did look a slightly hesitant one as well from Siniakova's point of view. And it hasn't taken very long at all for Wang to give herself 2 set points. Well, that's one of them saved. That's long as well. Timing's been a real issue for Siniakova in this opening set, and it's one of the reasons why it's culminated very swiftly indeed in favour of the number 15 seed. Wang takes the opener by 6 games to 1. Wang making the most of the opportunity to engage in dialogue with her assigned coach, Pancho Alvarino, the owner of the Pancho Alvarino Academy in Valencia. He's worked with many of the game's best, including Dinara Safina and also Anabel Medina Garrigues. And he was the captain of the Spanish team that won the Fed Cup for the first time with Arantxa Sanchez and Conchita Martinez, that great team of the 1990s. And that break by Wang at the end of the first set means she has the advantage of serving first at the start of the second. Almost a carbon copy of the previous mistake she made. You can just see in the background behind Siniakova the Olympic Stadium here in Rome, all part of the same complex. Oh, it was a nice idea by Siniakova, but again, she's just overcooked it on the volley. Tennis was played at this venue during the Rome Olympics in 1960 as an exhibition, a demonstration event. And of course, winning gold medals is something that Wang is accustomed to these days. She hasn't quite managed a gold medal at the Olympics, but she was the gold medalist at the Asian Games in the women's singles last year. And so far it's a gold medal performance by Wang, who holds serve for an early lead in this second set as well. And that run to the gold medal in the Asian Games last year, all part of this stunning second half of 2018 for her, which began after Wimbledon when she headed to Nanshan, where she claimed her first WTA Tour title at the Jiangxi Open. But she went on this incredible run of 32 match wins from 39. There was a further title at Guangzhou as well. The gold medal at the Asian Games, as I said, both Guangzhou and the Asian Games gold were titles that she secured without dropping a set as well. Finalist in Hong Kong. And a semi-finalist at Hiroshima, Wuhan, and the China Open too. Naturally, she'll be defending a lot of points in the second half of this year, but it's a great position to be in for her. Nicely done. That is the first ace of the match for Siniakova. Oh, has it found the line? There was no call. That's an astonishing winner by Wang. She had very little to work with there. And okay, she may go on to lose this game, but it's just made Siniakova work that little bit harder, and it's certainly made her think a little bit more as well, because even now there'll be doubts about the ability to play the drop shot. It will just be a little reminder to her that she has to get those absolutely spot on. It is a weapon she likes to employ, but on that occasion Wang was equal to it. Nevertheless, a hold of serve for Siniakova. Really strong behind the first serve in that opening set, converting 83% of her first service points. Wang. And the crowd are doing all they can to try and encourage Siniakova and get behind her. Well, that ball stayed very low. That's more like it from Siniakova. This is really encouraging. Finding a bit of range on the depth, finding some consistency with the depth as well towards the baseline. And that ball staying very low over the net. Love 30. Oh, unlucky. Once again, it was there, the consistency, you have to say. And Wang was very, very close to drifting along behind this baseline herself. Just finding the back of the baseline. Siniakova had a good look at it in the immediate aftermath. Siniakova just asking Kelly Thompson just to check the mark after that previous call of out. 15:30 it will be. Yeah, that one's going to be verified as well. It was a very hesitant call by the line umpire. Wide is the call, so it will be a second serve. And that's long as well. And once again, Siniakova has break points. Now, she had 2 break points in the 6th game of the opening set, and she failed to convert those, or either of those. Opportunity knocks once again. That's a shame. A real shame for her. And that may just knock her back a step or two as well, because that's 4 break points she has squandered in this match. Every credit to Wang, though, for the manner in which she was able just to really assert herself once again on break point. But another opportunity presents itself as a result of that unforced error on the backhand by Wang. Wang has had this innate ability at times today to force the error on the forehand when playing a cross-court forehand of her own. It's almost like Siniakova is overcompensating in reply. Just long. And this is a real test of Wang's capability, and also a test of her mental strength as well. 5 break points have come and gone for Siniakova over the course of the match. This is opportunity number 6. Oh, it's just found the line. You can see the impression left by the ball, and so too can Siniakova. There was very little margin for error there by Wang. And with every passing opportunity that is spurned by Siniakova, the agony is accentuated. Well, everything just kept on coming back, but there was only so much she could do. Qiang. Relentless pursuit of this break point by Siniakova takes another turn in her favour. Longest game of the match so far, and a very important one as well. Well, she's underlining her resilience, isn't she? No doubt about that here. Yeah. There's the frustration, because she's squandered 5 break points in this game, and now all of a sudden it's turned the other way. The racket is flung to the ground in frustration, and this will really hurt Siniakova if this one goes away from her. Oh, she just could not get round that one either. And this time it's Wang who shows her frustration. Deuce number 5 in this tense third game of the second set. Oh, she's got her again. Well, commendable spirit from both. Terrific aggression by Siniakova. Great determination and defensive qualities from both players. That's a very significant juncture of the match, you feel. Breakpoint number 6. Oh, it's found the line. Agony for Siniakova. She was powerless to do anything about that one. And once again, Wang playing a shot that clearly carried a lot of conviction and a lot of faith in her shot-making ability. Oh, she's found it on the reverse overhead. And having saved 6 break points, Wang holds for a 2-1 lead. And it's all now about how Siniakova picks herself up from that disappointment. That will really hurt her. She was so close to making the breakthrough. And in saving 2 of those break points, Wang was able to find the lines as well. It was fine margins at times, but as is so often the case, the fine margins can prove decisive. Well, that will have really taken its toll on Siniakova. And of course it will have taken its toll on Wang as well, but mentally she'll be much the stronger having come through it. And once again Siniakova finds herself playing catch-up. Well, she had to work very hard for that opening point as well, and even had that passed her by, it may well have been detrimental for her. No respite at the moment for either of these two. It's a pretty intense battle out there. Excellent play by Wang. It's a really good tactic, this, just to employ the depth which she knows she's finding on a consistent basis, and just repeatedly asking the questions of her opponent, saying, okay, there you go again, what have you got to come back at me? This time she doesn't ask the question, with the forehand going long. But the overriding factor in this match is that Wang is just asking Siniakova, telling her to try and find a way through. And maybe that just will lead to Siniakova raising the aggression stakes, and it may well lead to her raising the unforced error count as well. Oh, well anticipated by Wang, and likewise from Siniakova as well. Wang knew exactly what was coming, and she did the right thing. She played the forehand with pace as she whipped it up and over. And credit to Siniakova for applying the control on the volley. Yep, that's an ace. Ace number 2 for Siniakova. Both of them coming in this second set, and she's on terms once again at 2 games all. Good response after the disappointments of squandering those 6 break points in game 3. Terrific rally once again. There's been some really intense play served up by these two in this match. Siniakova draws first blood on the Wang serve. She really has sharpened up, though, on the unforced error count. It was at unacceptable levels from her point of view in the opening set. And this time it's Wang who's producing the unforced errors. There's another on the backhand. Slightly lackadaisical return there from Siniakova. have to say, though, a very healthy turnout on court 2 for this one, and little wonder, because it's proving to be a very, very good match now. And there are still signs that Siniakova may well take this to a decider, even though the first set was very one-sided. She's clearly put that first set behind her and moved on. Well, she'll be relieved to have avoided the potential pitfalls of another lengthy deuce advantage game, as she found herself embroiled in game 3. And as long as she has her nose in front, she'll be more than satisfied with her work so far. There is an overall panorama of the Foro Italico, with the Olympic Stadium nestled in amongst the trees. Mercifully, it looks as though the skies have somewhat lightened over the last half hour or so. The 76th edition of this tournament. Elina Svitolina of Ukraine, the two-time defending champion, back-to-back winner in 17 and 18. Serena Williams here once again this week. She won the first of her 4 titles in 2002 when she beat the great Justine Henin. And the only other former champion in the field is Serena's sister Venus, who beat Mary Pierce in the final of 1999. And those two could well meet in the 3rd round. Serena gets her campaign underway against Rebecca Peterson of Sweden. Venus, a wild card here this week, up against Elise Mertens of Belgium. Chris Evert was a winner of 5 titles in the 70s and 80s here. We haven't had an unseeded champion since Maria Jose Martinez Sanchez in 2010. Yeah, had to be certain with that one, and she was inch perfect with the overhead. Well, she will persist with the drop shot. I think she is being a little bit more prudent about when she employs it, but that latest unforced error gives Wang a 15-30 lead. No, she acknowledges it was good. There was no call. The palm stayed down. She's asking for the mark to be verified. It has been called wide, though. Well, Wang thought she had a 15-40 cushion. Instead, we're level at 30 all. Yeah, good pressure once again from Wang. Really making the most of that short ball by Siniakova. And is this the moment where the match really turns further in the favour of the number 15 seed? Nicely taken again. That will do her the confidence of world of good. You could hear the reaction as well from Siniakova. And again, the cross-court forehand by Wang is met with a cross-court forehand by Siniakova that goes wide. And that has happened from memory 4 times today. It's a tactic that has worked out on occasion for her. Oh, terrific attacking play from Wang. Siniakova did well with the initial defense, but there was no response and no way she could deal with the backup. And that is a very significant moment indeed. It's a break of serve for the 27-year-old from Tianjin. And Wang is in pole position now, you feel. Serving with the break at 4-2. Yeah, announced twice there, not up was the call from Kelly Thompson. Yeah, both players just waiting for that passage of play to subside. Next door it was building to a crescendo, so they just took a moment there. Double fault by Wang. And maybe she's just beginning to feel the tension as she seemingly closes in on her victory here. Siniakova, though, has other ideas. Well, she was perilously close to going wide on that sideline, but it did just clip. Just thought Wang may have had, or may have used the option to call Kelly Thompson down from the chair. Looks as though Siniakova is struggling maybe with a touch of stomach cramp or a stitch of some nature. Either way, she has 3 break points, and she could do with converting them sooner rather than later. Oh, she's found a way through with a timely backhand winner. And she breaks back straight away. A terrific response by Siniakova, especially after the disappointment of squandering 6 break points in game 3. She breaks for the first time, but Wang still leads by 4 games to 3. Well, Wang mustn't lose sight of the fact that she still is in pole position to come through this match. And let's see how, or if Siniakova can build on that break. May just be starting to play with a bit of freedom now, Siniakova. Certainly doing a lot more behind the first serve in this second set. She was more accurate with her first serve in the opener, but only converted 36% of her first service points. That has just been elevated to around about the 56-57% mark. Oh, and again, the defensive qualities of both very, very admirable indeed. Wang with the sweeping volley. Siniakova was equal to it. And in the end, it was the Czech who was able to summon up the winner. Excellent pickup in the midst of all that by Siniakova. Well, in the main, you have to say, Siniakova, a lot more things are working out for her. She does look so much more confident with her ground strokes. And I think it is because she is playing with a greater amount of freedom. However, on that occasion, the point went against her. Well, hang on, a ball rolled onto the court from next door. I think it rolled on after the point had been concluded. I think Kelly Thompson is wise to that as well. Wang is claiming she was hindered by that, but it rolled on a good second or two after the point had been lost anyway. And for the first time in this match, Siniakova wins back-to-back games. And there is every sign that this one is beginning to turn Siniakova's way. She looks to have a degree of momentum once again. Well played. It is astonishing how quickly, though, Siniakova is turning defence into attack. She's certainly getting herself off the back foot very quickly, or certainly a lot quicker than she was. Yeah, really well played. Really targeted that forehand side of Siniakova with that whipped up cross-court topspin forehand of her own. Just kept her opponent guessing, and Siniakova never really settled into that point. Again, it's the depth that did the damage. Double fault number 4 for Wang, and it's come at a fairly inopportune moment as well. I think she would have liked to have wrapped up that service game fairly emphatically just to get the juices flowing once again. And she really slowed down that first serve as well. Maybe just signs that she's beginning to tire here. That was a fairly comfortable point for Siniakova. (40-15). Now juice. And again, she'll be grateful for that gift of a point as well. And once more, it all stemmed from a very slow first serve. Just wonder whether she'll mix in a more routine, a more robust first serve on this occasion. Well, again, it was a slow first serve, and on this occasion it was Siniakova who wins the point. And this is already turning into a key moment in the match as well, whichever way it goes. Oh, it's a double fault. No. Call from next door. Well, it was very close to being a double fault, and it matters not anyway, because Siniakova wins the point. Yeah, it was a call of fault from one of the neighbouring courts. And having worked out the art of breaking Wang, Siniakova has a chance. Terrific point once again, and Siniakova breaks for a second time, and there's real momentum now behind the Czech. 3 games without reply, 2 breaks of serve, and following this change of ends, she will be serving for the second set. Well, this is where she needs to hold it all together. Having worked so hard to get herself into position, she was 4-2 down in this second set. Wang was serving for a 5-2 lead, and I'm sure many inside court 2 anticipated we were closing in on the culmination of this match, but Siniakova clearly had other ideas, and here she is serving with the new balls at 5-4 for the second set. Barely a seat to be had on court 2 now. And again, it's strange, isn't it, how the psychological balance can shift just so quickly. There'll be a lot of tension in the shoulders of Siniakova during this service game. Once again, the first serve proves elusive. Well, there have been times in this second set where Wang could really have benefited had she just been a little bit more willing to get her opponents on the run a bit more, use the flanks a bit more, go for her lines on the flanks a little bit more. And she had, I thought, a couple of opportunities during the course of that game as well. But it was all just a little bit too presentable for Siniakova, who still had to execute the winner, which she did very stylishly indeed. Yes, Siniakova still keeping that ball very low and very flat. But Wang stepping in and punishing the short ball, as she has done so often during this match. Yeah, that's drifting. Yeah, there's a challenge forthcoming here. And Wang looks to be very confident of winning it as well, because she's been very swift to mark it out for Kelly Thompson, and it is long, and that's a significant setback for Siniakova, because she faces break point. And there's just a little dialogue ongoing with Kelly Thompson at the net. I'm not quite sure what case Siniakova is making here. Wang queried the call. She marked it out. I don't think there was any dispute about the impression left by the ball or where it was, but it is break point for Wang. It's another tense exchange, and it goes the way of Wang. It's a break back. 2 breaks all in this second set, and the frustration evidence through Siniakova's reaction. And the momentum may well have been lost here. 5 games all. Oh, she's got that horribly wrong. And Siniakova wins a very unlikely point. She did a huge amount of running during the course of that point. She was on the defensive for much of it. And she was dragged from side to side by her opponent. And in the end, it was a tactic worth employing, just hoisting the ball up into the air and maybe just inviting the error. 15-all. That's wide as well. Well, it's a roller coaster of a second set now.
15-30.
It's been a really entertaining match. Some really high quality tennis, a really high octane second set as well. The first set was very one-sided indeed, but the second set a very different story. That's a good response though by Wang. That's where she's doing the damage, when she really goes for the lines and goes for the corners. Break point once again, though, for Siniakova.
20-40.
And once again, the crowd playing their part. Had to be. That one's not coming back. And Siniakova breaks for a third time to lead by 6 games to 5. Well, serving for the set for a second time at 6-5 on this occasion. And you just wonder if there'll be another twist in the tail. There's a lot of noise and a lot of movement going on around the court as well at this very, very important stage of the match. Play next door has finished, so there's been a lot of movement over to this court as well. Although it was very full on court two anyway, but just that added distraction of seats being vacated next door. Well, Siniakova is going to give this one a closer inspection. She's happy with the call. Oh, it's beyond the backhand of Siniakova once again. And Wang once again sensing an opportunity to hoist her back level. Yeah, all set up by the depth on the return of serve. She really just seems to have rediscovered her touch once again. Great depth on the follow-ups as well. And eventually the error was forthcoming. You could argue that was a forced error rather than an unforced error. 2 break points. It's drifting. And a shame for Wang because opportunity was there. Siniakova was just a little bit stranded, although she didn't have a great amount of time. Siniakova distracted by not wanting to point the finger, but there are a lot of young children moving around at this side of the court. 15-40 becomes deuce. And a lot of the voices you can hear are those of young children as well. Obviously a big school party, having a day at tennis, which is great. Oof. That was very close. I'm just wondering why Wang hasn't appealed that one. I know she has to challenge straight away, but maybe she's just seen that it is just about good. Set point though for Siniakova. And that will do it. She is alive and kicking in this first round match. Siniakova takes the second set by 7 games to 5. And we are going all the way to a decider. 1 hour 33 played. And having lost the opening set by 6 games to 1, and having trailed by a break in the second as well, Siniakova has the momentum. Well, I can only assume the delay is down to Siniakova having requested a member of the medical team to attend the court. She did, upon the culmination of the second set, make her way to the chair very quickly to speak to Kelly Thompson, the chair umpire. And we are now awaiting the arrival of the medical team to carry out an assessment of Siniakova. She did look to be, at times, just struggling with one issue in particular. It did appear to be a case of maybe a cramp or maybe a stomach cramp. And she did bend over a couple of times just to try and alleviate the pain she was feeling. And so in the meantime, Wang has to remain patient. And play will hopefully continue in due course, because it has been a very, very good match, this. Don't think there's any imminent danger of Siniakova not being able to continue. It's maybe just something that she wants to address here and now, as she's entitled to do. Just a couple of results from elsewhere that have already come in. Dominika Cibulkova as first round winner against Alexandra Sasnovich of Belarus, winning in straight sets 2-3, and also a straight sets win for Yulia Putintseva of Kazakhstan, a 4-2 winner over Lesia Sorenko. So they're just getting underway on Pietrangeli. Saisai Zhong against Gabinier Muguruza. And likewise just getting underway on Court 1, where Johanna Konta, recent finalist in Rabat in Morocco, takes on the American Alison Risk. Kelly Thompson's just radioed the tournament director's office once again just to see exactly how long this is going to take. And the medical assessment will now be performed. Well, that didn't take too long. May just have been a painkiller that was required, and she was just checking the time intervals between taking the medication. 1 hour 42 on the clock, and you just wonder how Wang will pick up the pieces after that second set. Huge disappointment. She was serving for a 5-2 lead at one point, but she eventually squandered it by 7 games to 5, and she now must regroup and refocus and recalibrate. Well, that conversion rate behind the first serve really tailed off in the second set for Qiang. 10 points out of 12 converted in the opening set, 83% strike rate. And that plummeted to 54% in the second set, only 19 from a possible 35 behind the first serve. And she's obviously had a lot of time to dwell on that second set as well, with Siniakova waiting for the medical assistance to arrive on court 2. But there's a real spring in the step of Siniakova now. She is clearly in a much better place. That's a real timely injection of pace by Siniakova on the backhand as well, and well, a lot of that momentum from the second set clearly in evidence here, because she has a break point, and she has certainly rediscovered the knack of winning break points as well and capitalizing on break points. Three games without reply for Katerina Siniakova. Oh, well, everything seems to be going wrong for Wang all of a sudden. Just seems to have lost a lot of the flow about her game that was, well, extremely evident in the opening set. Siniakova will, however, just have to watch her step. She, again, played a very ambitious drop shot there, and it was just a little bit on the nonchalant side. And Wang is displaying the signs of a player who is suddenly looking extremely dispirited. Again, keeping that ball very low on a very flat trajectory, making life very difficult indeed. And Siniakova now has 4 games without reply. Second break here, and it will be very difficult to see any way back for Wang. Just looks so deflated, doesn't she? Well, she's playing with a smile on her face all of a sudden. She's laughing and joking with Kelly Thompson with that little mini exchange. And too many unforced errors are creeping into the Wang game now. The concession of a cluster of cheap points over the last 4 or 5 games. And that was a mile beyond the baseline as Wang sinks to her knees. And in the blink of an eye, Siniakova has 3 break points for a 3-love lead and a double break in the decider. Well, maybe there is just a little bit of life in Qiang Wang. Maybe not flatlining just yet. Still a lot of movement behind the court. 2 young spectators right there in your camera, you can see. Oh, a brilliant winner by Siniakova. Cross-court backhand, despite all the distractions of the movement in the crowd. Siniakova playing with a huge amount of confidence right now. And that's reflected in her shot selection there. Qiang Wang just tried to be a little bit more inventive, but it's the same outcome, and it is a double break. Oh, terrific point again, and once more it's Siniakova who comes out on top. She's winning all the key battles, and just when it looks as though Wang might be able to force the issue and force the hand of Siniakova, the Czech just keeps on coming up with the goods. And she's closing in on a 4 of lead now. Well, just for a heart-stopping moment, it looked as though Siniakova was going to win the most unlikely of points. But the reactions, though they were quick, were uncontrolled, and we're back to 40-30. Well, this is where Siniakova will really have to watch her step. Can't afford to give any encouragement whatsoever. 2 breaks to love, but it could be 2 breaks to 1 quite easily, and again the whole emphasis on the match could change once more. That was a inch-perfect first serve, though, by Siniakova. Right on the cusp, right on the apex of the sideline and the service line. Well, that's another confidence-boosting moment for Qiang. And it is spray point. And just a degree of frustration here for Siniakova. Oh, well played. Terrific response, and that could be another game changer. She hadn't managed to carve out any break points since the final game of the second set, and even though she squandered those 2 on that occasion, she made full use of the 1 that came her way there. Stranger things have happened. Wang serving at 1-3. Yeah, blistering return by Siniakova, though, getting herself off on the front foot in this 5th game. Well, I have to say that was not even up for debate, really. I'm not quite sure what mark Siniakova is looking at here, but it looks to be well wide of the mark anyway. Kelly Thompson well and truly on top of that one. And now there's another mark to inspect, and I thought that was more of a likely shout actually for her, but 15 all it is. Oh, really well played by Siniakova. The change of direction, the wrong footing backhand winner down the line. There was an earlier change of direction during the course of that point that just tilted that rally in her favour ever so slightly. It didn't seem significant at the time, but it was just subtle enough just to keep Wang on her toes. And she has 2 points for an instant break back. Oh, again, the tension was tangible. And once again, Siniakova cries out in relief to see that one go long. Good response, very strong response by Siniakova. Breaking for a third time in this final set. Well, just the 1 point converted behind the first serve in this deciding set by the number 15 seed. That's nowhere near the level she has to be at. And even though she still would have been a breakdown, it would have been interesting to see how Siniakova would have handled the pressure there, because 3-love would have become 3-2. The medical team are back on court, by the way, and I suggested it might be a stomach cramp. And that initial diagnosis, that initial opinion, looks to have some foundation now, because Siniakova may well be getting some treatment. Just on a couple of occasions, stemming back to the second set, she started just holding her stomach as if she was suffering with a cramp. Medical team have made way fairly swiftly, though, once again. 4-1 she leads. I think it's all about just coming through this match and trying to get herself rested for her second round match, if she gets there, of course. Begu or Katerina await the winner of this one. Two very similar clay court campaigns so far this season for these two, both making the quarterfinals in Prague, both with very little to report elsewhere. Siniakova 2 and 3 on clay so far this year. First round defeats in Istanbul and Madrid. And likewise for Wang, a quarter-final appearance in Prague, but first round defeats in Madrid and Stuttgart. Just wide. And that form on clay this year, their respective paths here, is being reflected in the manner in which this one is being played out. Very closely fought encounter. And I still wouldn't be too surprised if Wang were to force the issue once again. That's drifting. And it's 2 break points again for Qiang. Siniakova just cannot shake off the number 15 seed. And it is another break of serve. 3 breaks to 2. And a hold here for Wang really would put the cat amongst the pigeons. She would be still a breakdown, but 4-1 to 4-3, that's a seismic shift at this stage of the match. When you consider that Siniakova was serving for a 4-love lead, and let's not forget that Wang herself was serving for a 5-2 lead in the second set when she led by a set to love. And this is perhaps the part of the season where Wang really needs to capitalise, because, as we said earlier, she is defending a lot of points in the second half of 2019 from last year. Not so much on the clay. Now, what happened there was something fell from the stands onto the court. I think it may have been a hat off one of the spectators. Just another inconvenience to be stemming from the stands as well. There's been a few of those today. Well, if Wang is to turn this one around, she will have to make the most of chances like that. She simply cannot afford to produce unforced errors with routine ground strokes from that sort of position.
30.
Well, for the first time today, the sun is trying to break through the clouds. And the sun may well be shining once again on Wang. Siniakova looking flustered once again. Oh, well, once again she had the opportunities to really put Siniakova under pressure, and I think once again she was just a little bit too conservative with that forehand into the corner. It really could have extended her opponent. And there is a lot of nervous energy out there now. However, that's wide. And Siniakova's quest for a first win over a top 20 player this season remains, I feel, very much in the balance here. Especially if Wang can convert this game point for 4-3. Which she fails to do. Just Wang. Just beyond the baseline by Siniakova, who stands and stares in disbelief. And that'll do it. And all of a sudden there is a very different emphasis on this match now. The scoreboard psychology may well be beginning to take its toll. Wang still a breakdown, but a 4-1 deficit has turned into a 4-3 deficit. And once again we are on the verge, potentially, of seeing this third set go the distance. Well, what Siniakova would give here for a confidence-boosting hold of serve to love. Well, she's not been able to summon one of those up today. Well, this is very, very distracting. Far too many spectators, mainly children, walking around right behind the server. Serving with the new balls at 4-3. Well, Wang is certainly more inclined to give it a go. And Siniacova may well just be showing signs that she is once again potentially mentally fragile. That's a shame, because again she was in a position where she was dictating the rally for the majority of it, and she looked to be comfortable there as well. Well, that's a very reassuring sight of shadows on the court, but it's certainly hotting up in terms of the action as well. Oh, she really went for that one as well, and her courage perhaps deserved a little bit more. Just needs to find a little bit of controlled aggression. Oh, that's stunning. That is absolutely stunning to summon up that sort of response from such a wide position. And a little wonder she found a lot of value in that. And this is really threatening to unravel here for Siniakova. Oh, and this time she finds a way through. Siniakova's drop shot, once again, just about not the required product. And Wang comes in, makes up the ground, and finds the control on the forehand topspin. And it's 3 breaks all in this tension-filled final set. The other factor to consider as well is that Wang is winning these battles towards the end of games as well. She's won 4 games obviously in this final set, and 3 of those games have been to deuce. She's finding a way through when things get tense. And at this stage of proceedings, that may well count in her favour, but then again, there's a very real danger that this hold of serve may prove trickier than she might have imagined. Nope. That slice from Siniakova stayed very low. And it was always going to be a very awkward pickup for Wang. And wouldn't you just know it, having worked so hard to get back on terms, she finds herself needing to save 3 break points. How valuable could that be for Siniakova? It's been a while since she held her serve, but if she can find her shooting boots on serve, then a place in the second round will be hers. A break to love for Siniakova. 4 breaks to 3 in the deciding set. She hasn't held serve since game 2 of this final set, when she held for a 2-love lead. Since then, we've had 6 breaks of serve and just the 1 hold for Wang. And the crowd on court too, perhaps sensing now that this one is reaching its climax. Still every possibility that Wang could fight back, but it's in Siniakova's hands. And so here we are, 2 hours 26 played. Siniakova serving for the match. And that will do for starters. All gifts very welcome indeed at this stage for Siniakova. Yeah, there's a lot of noise courtside. Both players have done really well to shut it out. Turning the screw once again, though, on the Siniakova serve. Maybe, just maybe, a little bit more life in this match yet. Well, there was a lot of movement on that return of serve. Slightly awkward bounce for Siniakova to deal with, but she responded well. Every point is being greeted with relief and sheer delight by Siniakova. And that will do very nicely as well. First match point goes the way of Katerina Siniakova. Will it be the first and last? Or will it be the first of many more to come? Oh, there was a lot of tension in that second serve. It was very edgy, very nervy, and the first match point has come and gone. Oh, it's found the line. Wang hesitated, but she acknowledges it was good. And it's a second opportunity, a second match point for Siniakova. Yeah, ball from next door was the interloper. Oh, and the backhand into the net. 2 match points. Come and go for Siniakova. The intruder that was the ball from next door may well just have knocked her off her stride. But she was very quickly into the next point. And she's very quickly established a third match point. And with that third match point, the turnaround is complete. Siniakova digs deep to secure her place in round 2. A really impressive and a really courageous fight back by the 23-year-old from the Czech Republic. Having lost the opening set by 6 games to 1, she comes through in 3 extremely hard-fought sets in a match lasting over 2.5 hours. For Wang, the number 15 seed, a reflection on what might have been. She was a set and a break to the good. She was serving for a 5-2 lead in the second, but it's Siniakova who comes through in 3 sets, 1-6, 7-5 and 6-4. And an opening match on court 2, high on drama and high on tension, goes the way of Siniakova. It's her first win over a top 20 player this season at the 6th attempt. And she will take the opportunity to sign a few autographs and maybe pose for 1 or 2 photos before heading back for a well-earned rest and a chance to recover ahead of her second round encounter. Well, a little later on this court we'll have our second match of the day. Victoria Kuzmova of Slovakia against the Italian wildcard Sara Errani. I suspect the noise levels may well just raise a degree or 2 for that one. That's on court a little later on this afternoon, following the completion of an ATP doubles match, which is on the way next.